Camera number 436 is this offering from Fujica, the ST605N, which is really an incremental improvement on the 605 that was released in the mid-1970s. This was released a couple of years later. And I say an incremental improvement because really it is the same camera as the 605, except that through the viewfinder we now get an indication of our shutter speeds. And so if that's important to you, then perhaps this is the model to choose rather than the 605. The meter requires a battery to operate, otherwise it's a fully mechanical camera. So let's just put some batteries in the camera. There's two LR44 batteries, and the battery compartment is here. And we place the positive terminal outermost in the camera. The battery compartment's very, very tight, so the first battery that goes in is the last battery that comes out, and it can be quite difficult to get that out. So just a note to user, I think I'll require a coin or something to just put that back in, so let me just go and get that. So just need a coin to put that back on. There we go. And then, as I say, through the viewfinder, I don't know whether I can show that, I zoom in perhaps, might be able to show you, on the right hand side, as was the case with the 605, there we go, I think you can just about see there, there's a window, or there's an indication of the match needle meter, and there's a cutout in the middle that we want our needle to occupy. Otherwise there's an indication at the top and at the bottom, black indication of over and under exposure. And then now in the 605N we now include, again I'll try and zoom in if I can, there on the left hand side are shutter speeds, which there's a green needle if you like, and that moves in accordance with our shutter speeds. Our shutter speeds, like the 605, go from an unusual 1/700th of a second all the way down to bulb, and the dial also lifts up and we can rotate it for our film speeds. While we're on the top here, we have an articulated film advance that goes out of the way, so no poking you in the eye, which is rather nice, and it's quite a nice smooth operation. Our film counter there, and our film actuation button, which has provision to insert a cable release, hot shoe, and then our film rewind, which folds out and then allows us to rewind our film in. Of course we have to press the button on the bottom of the base of the camera, so that allows us to do that, and then we lift the film rewind and we can take our film out. Conversely, if we want to put our film in, we do exactly the same. Put the film in, put it over, and then make sure it goes into the spool, take-up spool. It's nice, quite clean in this particular camera, I'm pleased to say. The mount, as again with the previous version, is the screw thread. So this particular lens is came with the camera, a Fujinon f2.2 55mm lens. The only downside with this lens is that the collar that tells you the midpoint that you line up your apertures is broken. There's a screw missing, and so it rotates, and I didn't realise that, and so for a couple of the images I actually didn't put the aperture in the correct position. Otherwise it focuses quite nice and smoothly, but it can take any of the screw thread M42 mount lenses. And then we have a flash synchronization port there. We have our self timer, which is activated with let's just hide it on with its own button on the side here. Mirror stays down. Again, I don't know whether you can see the meter needle there, and then our shutter speeds on the other side. The camera, as with the 605 I believe, is the meter has to be a stopped down meter, and that's the lever that activates the meter, but also activates, as you can see there hopefully, when our lens is on, it activates the pin for the aperture. And so what we have to do for this particular camera is focus first and then acquire our exposure second. So we focus, and then, assuming we haven't moved the lens off its focus point, we then press the button, and then that will shut down the aperture, and then we can change either aperture or shutter speed until we've got that meter needle right in the middle. And then once it's opened, the shutter will actually, or the aperture will actually close down as we take the image. I don't know if I can show that. There you go. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, so nice camera, quite solid, as was the case with the 605, and I got on very well with that. So I have high expectations that this will operate in exactly the same way. So otherwise, that's pretty much all the features of the camera. So that's the Fujica ST605N, and that has been camera number 436.